Welcome back, everyone. I'm David Greenberg, and on today's video, I want to basically talk you through some very important strategies on how to fill your calendar with more appointments. And so this is going to be great for you if you are a solopreneur, a coach, an expert, a consultant, someone who is selling programs, selling your services, and you're looking just to fill your calendar with more appointments, basically. So if you recall, there are a couple of main ways that you can control and improve your overall business. In other words, how much revenue you're generating. And so the first, of course, is how many conversations you're having with prospective clients. The second is how well are you converting those conversations into actual clients? In other words, your closing rate. And then the third, of course, is how much you charge for your services. So your ability to charge a higher fee in order to bring in more revenue. So those are three main variables. And today I'm just going to focus on that first one. So the key here is to create a strategy where you can put in a certain amount of time a week, let's say maybe 5 to 10 hours to start, either you or someone that you delegate this to, and it's going to generate good results as long as you do that consistently. And if you stick with me to the end, I'm going to share with you a particularly super secret strategy that I was able to discover on my own. Nobody taught this to me. That allows you to even increase the numbers even beyond what we're going to talk about in the core strategy. So it's going to be like a bonus, basically. So stick with me because I'm going to share that later in the video. Also, I want to mention this is a very LinkedIn-centric approach because I have basically developed this using LinkedIn, but there's nothing to stop you from, for example, using this on Facebook or other platforms. So in no way do I want to limit you to think that that's the only platform that you can use. However, I have a lot of great experience with LinkedIn. It's a great platform. There's a lot of scope for basically creating great relationships on LinkedIn. So all other things being equal, I would encourage you to consider that. So how does the strategy work? Well, basically, you're going to commit to a set of daily activities, and I generally try to do them in the same order every time, but you obviously don't have to stick to that very rigidly. So the idea is there's a kind of flow to this. And as I explain this to you, you'll see why the flow is that way and why I chose to do it in this order, but also you're going to see opportunities to switch the order up if that works better for you, right? I'll also mention that nobody taught this to me directly. This is basically coming from an amalgam of or a compilation of different strategies I've developed myself and also things I've learned from other experts over the years, and I've kind of put it all together into a set of best practices. So having said that, I want to welcome you to take what I'm going to teach you today and then make it your own. You don't have to copy me exactly how I'm doing it. I'm just going to give you an example of what works really well for me. I should also mention that what I mean by filling the calendar is close to more than 20 qualified appointments per month. Actually, it comes up probably closer to 40 for me. But somewhere in that range of 20 to 40 qualified appointments or more, which is more than enough scope for you, if you're speaking to the right people, to generate some good sales and business and kind of grow from there. I also mentioned that I generally do this myself, and I would encourage you, if you're just getting started, to do it yourself. Eventually, once you have something that's working, if you want to delegate it to a trusted resource, someone that you know can basically do as good a job as you will on this, then absolutely you want to delegate it. There's nothing wrong with that, and that might actually be quite beneficial. So let's talk about the strategy. What is the first step? Well, as you know, when you're on LinkedIn, your profile, just like any social platform, that's essentially like the equivalent of your website or your brand. That is your storefront. That is your representation to everybody else on that platform of who you are, what your expertise is, your special abilities, who you serve, and how you help. So it's important that your profile stand out. it's important that you put your best foot forward on your profile. Having said that, what I have found for myself and others is we tend to get stuck in this pattern of trying to make it all perfect before we do anything else. So what I have found works really well is the principle of Kaizen. Kaizen, a Japanese word, it basically means improving a little by little over time. Incremental improvements, or what some people call incremental advantage. So the idea is what you're going to do is every day, or at least several times a week, as part of this workflow, you're going to go into your profile and just make it a little bit better. You're going to scan your own profile and look for opportunities to improve anywhere in the profile. Anywhere at all. It could be in the images, in the headline, your summary statement, your work history, anything at all. Anything is fair game. And obviously, you're going to continue your education of learning best practices and modeling based on what's working well for others, but obviously making it your own. So the first step in this strategy is to do one of two things. Either make some improvements to your profile or create and publish some new content. Now, you could do both of those, but I find that if you can do at least one of them and maybe switch back and forth over time, you're going to get great results. So again, going through your profile, just looking for things to improve, anything at all. Sometimes it's even just changing a few words can make a big difference. Or you may want to test out a new headline. And if you are going to test out different headlines, you may want to keep a document where you keep a couple of different headlines, and that way you can split test it. Because LinkedIn doesn't really have a built-in way to split test your profile, so you want to have some flexibility there. Now, of course, you could also ask people that you know and trust in your network for some feedback on changes that you make. But as part of the strategy, you don't want to make it a big deal. You want to just give it your best shot, do whatever you can to make some improvements, and then move on. Because again, the idea is you don't want to spend more than an hour a day on this whole strategy. So if you get too bogged down on this, you're going to start to lose effectiveness. Now, as I mentioned, the other activity that you could do instead of making improvements to your profile is to create some new content and either publish it immediately or schedule it. One of the great things that you may have discovered on LinkedIn is you can now schedule posts. So if you've already got something up for today, instead of posting another piece of content on the same day, go ahead and schedule it for the next business day or the next calendar day, whatever you prefer. And content can vary a lot. It can be a few sentences. It can be more long form with or without images. It could be a video. So again, you are going to dedicate some time to creating higher quality videos. Like I'm obviously spending more time creating this video for you. But you can also jump in there and, for example, take outtakes from your longer videos and make a short one. Or you could write a nice post. It shouldn't take you more than 5, 10, 15 minutes to do that if you have a clear idea of what you want to say and who you want to speak to and why. And you'll get better at this over time. The idea is, again, incremental improvements. Every day, a little better, a little better. So the idea is either you improve your profile or you post or you post something. Now that you've done that, the next step is to go in and interact with your inbox. This is the activity that has the next highest priority in the list. And what I mean by that is you want to go into your LinkedIn inbox and basically catch up on any inbound messages that are coming in from people from any context. And obviously you'll know intuitively and from your experience how to respond to each one of them to move them forward. But the idea is you always want to be moving those conversations forward to a conversation, right? To getting them on a call or to at least having them state directly to you that they'd rather not meet on a call, so you can kind of deprioritize that conversation or come back to them later and just keep adding value until the right time comes up. So again, you're going to know what to say in each case, but you want to catch up entirely. You don't want to let any messages get too stale. So that's step 2 in this process. Catch up on your inbox, take the time necessary to craft thoughtful replies, not using templates, personalized replies to each one. This is a little bonus. I personally, if someone's writing back and I feel like it's a good conversation, I'm well engaged and we're moving forward in the process, I also like to go back and visit their profile again, especially if I haven't spent a lot of time on it, and check out some of their recent content, because that can really give me insights. That allows me to add value through engaging in their content, but it also gives me some insights, more data, more insights into who they are and what they do to enrich the relationship, even especially before we get onto the point where we actually have a conversation. The next step after you've caught up on your inbox is to add new connections. This is where you're going to go out and add new connections to your network, because remember, you always want to be growing your network. Now, LinkedIn over the years has put in certain restrictions in order to stop people from being too spammy, and I'm fine with that. I think you're now limited to maybe 100 new connections a week, something that is a lot lower than it used to be. And that's okay. This strategy will work great regardless of that. So what you want to do is you want to add connections, people that you're targeting, whom you know are potentially good fit for the audience that you're trying to reach. I personally do not send a message when I send a connection request, because I found that enough people, sorry, I hit the microphone. I found that enough people say yes or accept it without me having to send a message that it's not really worth the extra time. We will start interacting with them after they connect. I'll explain that in a second. But I'm finding it's not really valuable to do that, to send a message when you connect. I don't see a significant improvement in the conversions there. And I encourage you to max out whatever the connections are that LinkedIn gives you and then just let it rest for a week. There is kind of a weekly limit. So once you get close to that limit, pull back, rest, focus on other activities for the rest of the week, and then start to replenish. But here's a little secret to keeping yourself from hitting the limit too often. What you want to do is you want to go to your connections tab, and then under manage, there's a button to the right that says manage for your LinkedIn connections. You want to manage your outbound connections, and you want to specifically withdraw connections requests to people who haven't accepted within, say, 3 weeks or beyond. And this allows you to clean up stale connection requests. And what that does is that shows LinkedIn that you're serious about you're not a spammer. You're not trying to just accumulate a bunch of connection requests. And LinkedIn will reward you by making it easier to send out more requests. So always clean up those stale requests. You can always go back and attempt again in the future. There may be a few weeks where you're not able to, but it's not a big deal, because again, you're going to get enough new connections for this to work. And I'll explain as we move further into the strategy why that's the case. And keep in mind, everything I'm explaining to you, you're doing this all in no more than 1 hour a day. So you're keeping it very tight and very efficient. Now, the next thing that you're going to do is, for people that have accepted your connection request, you want to send them you want to engage with their content if they have any, and you want to send them a very nice, brief, handwritten thank you note for the connection. So how does this work? I personally like to send this to people who've been connected with me for at least 3 days. I don't like to jump in there and immediately send a message. I like to give them a couple of days for them to potentially reach out, or not to be kind of over eager. So usually when they've been connected for at least 3 days, I'll go in, I'll look at their profile just to kind of confirm that it was a good fit. I may check out some of their recent content if they have some. And then I'll send a very brief handcrafted thank you note thanking them for connecting. I might make reference to either some of their recent content or something that caught my attention about their profile or about them and their work. Something, maybe we have in common, or something that really stood out for me. If I can't find something like that, I may not send them a message, which means I'll kind of not focus on this particular person because it maybe wasn't a great fit based on my assessment, or I may just send them a more general thank you without getting into anything specific. And now you're starting the conversation with them, and you're kind of putting the ball back in their court to see if they'll even respond at all and what they'll say. Now the next step is where you're going to start to generate conversations. Now keep in mind, people may respond to you or send you the initial message, and they may even propose to meet with you on a call, which you of course are. I would encourage you to accept that in the right context. But let's say that didn't happen. Now you're going to have an opportunity to invite them to a call. So what I do is, when people reply to my welcome/thank you message, after we've been connected for a few weeks and the exact time is up to you, I will go back and invite them to an introductory conversation. And I always position it as an introductory conversation, not as a strategy session or a pitch call or an offer or anything like that. And the reason is very simple. We've never met. I don't know this person. They don't know me. Why do I want to be presumptuous to assume that I might be able to help them? But on the other hand, if there's a good connection, if I like their work, if I feel like it's a good fit, why would I not want to take our online connection, which is of somewhat limited value, and convert it into a real world relationship, which is of infinite value? Infinite. And that's where the real magic happens. So I want to invite them to a call, and it's an introductory call. I'm going to introduce myself. I'm going to hear more about them. We're going to explore the potential collaboration opportunities. And those could be many different things. And this is the key. It's collaborative. Now, in the end of things, they may be a good prospective client for you. You may be a good prospective client for them. They may be a good referral partner for you, and vice versa. Or there may be some other opportunity for you to collaborate. For example, they may have an event coming up. This has happened to me. They may have a live speaking engagement opportunity for you to speak at one of their upcoming events, or to co-host a live workshop with them, anything like that. So you want to be open to those possibilities, because those can also generate prospective clients. In fact, joint ventures is a great way to generate business. So I always position it as an introductory call. The only reason why I would skip over and invite them to specifically a strategy session is if through the conversation with them, they were to voluntarily share that they are struggling with something specific that I felt I could help them with. Or they were to somehow give some kind of signal that they were looking for help with something related to what I might be able to help them with. In that case, I might position it more as a strategy session. For example, they may be asking me some questions, and I'd be like, look, it's going to be a lot easier if we can jump on a call. Why don't you schedule some time with me? I'm happy to share some ideas and see if I can help you with this. So that would be positioned a little more as I'm there to help them. But it's done because they have invited me to do that through their conversation. But if they haven't done that and I still want to get in a call with them, it's just an intro call. And that's all you need to do. I have found this works really well. And although not everybody takes me up on it, of course, as I would expect, those who do, those end up being great conversations. And some of them end up being clients, and that's great. And I don't need all of them to be clients for this to be successful. All I need is real conversations and create real relationships so that we can open up the doors to more opportunities. So you see how that works? Now you're only going to do that, you're only going to extend that invitation after a few weeks to people who have actually responded in a thoughtful and respectful and engaging way to your initial message, or they themselves initiated the conversation in some way. There is a strategy to deal with people who don't, and I'll get to that a little later on. Now, if someone says no, or no thank you, or this is not a good time, what I like to do is thank them for their response, because obviously a no is as respectful as a yes. And then send them a nice value added message, like, or you could even ask for permission to do this. I appreciate that. Here's a little gift, or is it okay if I send you something I thought you might appreciate it? Some kind of free gift, whether it's a PDF or a recent article, recent video, something that you think they're going to appreciate or could be valuable for them. And then just keep them on long-term follow-up. Now, the next thing I like to do is spend a little time on the timeline, meaning on the news feed of incoming publications by others, because these are the people who are kind of top of mind. So what I like to do is get in there and start to interact with them and engage thoughtfully on their posts as a way to warm up the conversation, right? And this helps a lot with the downstream, because the last part of the strategy is, and this is going to work really well if you've been on LinkedIn, for example, for more than 6 months or even for years. I've been on LinkedIn since 2004, so that's almost 20 years. So I've developed quite a network, and I have a lot of connections that I've been connected to for many years, and we haven't had interactions. So the next step is you kind of go back in time and you start warming up people or re-engaging people that you've been connected to for a long time, but maybe for whatever reason you either have never spoken to them before or you just haven't had a conversation with them despite interactions. So this is going to be really valuable. And now, because you've stuck with me through this video, I'm going to share with you the most powerful strategy to convert your existing LinkedIn network into a sequence of high quality, valuable conversations, and therefore relationships that lead to business. Now, this will work really well if you have several thousand or more conversations, and if you've been on LinkedIn for a number of years like I have. If you haven't, it still will work, but you're going to get much better results if you have at least 6 months to a year on the platform and at least several thousand connections. So here's what you're going to do. If you haven't done so already, you're going to need a CRM to do this. If you don't have a CRM, you're not sure which one to use, I would recommend starting with a free CRM like HubSpot. It's the one I've been using. It works very well. It's free to start. You can upgrade down the road once you've gotten good value from it and you need to start to take advantage of more advanced features, but it's perfectly good as a free CRM to start. It's going to give you exactly what you need to do this strategy. So what you're going to do is LinkedIn gives you an option to export all your connections from LinkedIn. So you're going to export them into a spreadsheet, and LinkedIn will send you, I think they'll send you a notification once it's ready, and then you can download these documents. And you're going to import those connections into HubSpot. Now, this is a little bit technical. If you get stuck, you can always reach out to me. I'm very technically adept. I can kind of give you some pointers there, maybe even help you to do this if you get stuck. But it's not that hard. You're going to create a spreadsheet. You're going to import them. I recommend tagging all these leads as the source as LinkedIn so you know where they came from. I also recommend importing their LinkedIn profile, which LinkedIn will provide, as well as the date you connected. Those are great data points to have, so I would not drop those. I would include those in your import. So here's what you're going to do. You're in HubSpot or whichever CRM you're using, you're going to create a list, a dynamic list, and you're going to track all of your LinkedIn imported connections that you don't have any interaction with so far in the CRM. You haven't set their lead status, in other words, their stage, kind of where they're at in the process. And you're going to go through every day, a few of them. You're going to probably need to import their email address because most people don't allow LinkedIn to export their email. So you can get that from their profile for most people. So you're going to copy that into the CRM. And then you're going to craft a very nice, thoughtful message, something along the lines of the following. And again, there's two different versions. One that works really well for people they've been connected through for more than a year, and another one for more recent connections. So if, let's say I've been connected to someone for 5 years and we've never had an interaction. So I could craft a very nice message that says, "Hi, John. Wow, we've been connected on LinkedIn for 5 years and we've never even spoken. I wanted to reach out to you because as someone who values real world relationships and conversation, I wanted to see, would you be open to meeting with me on Zoom to have an introductory conversation?" And you can kind of add some more context however you want to say it. But basically you're inviting them to that conversation. And the reason is because you notice that you've been connected for a long time and you've never spoken with them. Or maybe if it's someone you have spoken to, many years have gone by and you want to kind of refresh that. If it's a more recent connection, it's a slightly different message. You just say something along the lines of, "We connected earlier this year," or a few months ago, whenever it was. "I've enjoyed following your work. And I wanted to reach out because if there was an opportunity to convert our online connection to a real world relationship, I definitely wanted to at least give that a shot. How would you feel about meeting with me on a call?" Again, use your own words. I'm just telling you how I would do it. But say it in your own voice. Write it the way you would write it. And send those out through the CRM so you can track how many people are reading them. And you can also split test different scenarios. I guarantee you, if you do that, you're going to get people to say yes. And probably some of your older connections are going to be great opportunities to take something that was not really being cultivated and not moving along because you didn't have a process to cultivate it. And now you're going to start to generate real conversations. Imagine what that's going to do for you and your business as you start to fill your calendar with more appointments. So you see how this all works? And this can be done, again, 5 hours a week, 1 hour per business day. Maybe more in the beginning. There's nothing wrong with hustling a little bit harder if you're trying to level up and you're kind of in the early stages. But wherever you're at, if you can do at least even just 5 hours a week, following this strategy and making it your own, I guarantee you're going to start to fill your calendar with some high quality appointments and conversations. And that's ultimately what you need, as you know. That's why you showed up today, in order to move your business and your sales and your business forward. So I hope this has been super helpful. I'd love to hear your feedback. Please comment below the video, share anything that comes up. And as always, I look forward to speaking to you again very soon. Take care.